I was going to sing the final countdown, but I don't think I will. But we'll get into whether it was the final countdown for Bryan Danielson very, very shortly as we round up Wrestledream, last night's pay-per-view from AEW, and of course with my AEW analyst from across the pond, Mr. Gary Joe. How are you, sir?
Well, it is definitely feeling like a dream about that wrestling show. Um, yes, figured I would use some of the puns into my arsenal today, but yeah, very, very good though. Otherwise, it's pretty, pretty nice with the chill in the air today, which makes me happy because it's officially feeling like fall. But I'm not rushing the winter yet. So,
Yeah, it certainly
but,
is
otherwise,
feeling
doing
like
pretty well.
it certainly is feeling like fall, as you say, or autumn over here in the UK. But then again, I don't think it's ever that hot in the UK to call it anything else. So, but nevertheless, we're here to talk Wrestle Dream. Uh, just starting with the pre-show, one of the most notable things from the pre-show was Brian Cage finally winning a world championship in AEW. That, well, I know he's been the FTW champion, but of a sort of nature of note of championship, that is. Ring of Honor World Television Champion. I think the word I used was about damn time.
Yeah. One thing that is very noteworthy about this, you can see something change into this direction with AEW that we've been wanting to see. And that is they finally put a championship on a muscle bound talent like Brian Cage. Now, it was reported the day before Wrestle Dream that Fightful Select said that Jimmy Jacobs departed out of all wrestling. And then the reports that I see, not reports, but well, yeah, I mean, Wrestle Pruitts, they're pretty good at their reporting. If in fact that list was true, that was holding back a lot of promising talent. But again, speculation, don't know. But be that as may, it's so good to see Brian Cage become the champion in AEW. I mean, I get it, he held the FTW title and stuff like that, but man, when you needed to do something with Brian, he is very well deserving. I mean, you signed him to a 7-year deal. I think you and I were talking about this last week there, Adam. So, very, very well deserving, and finally, like, put the title on the person that is featured on your show. I'm not trying to take that away from Atlas Jr., but it just felt like it was impossible to grasp him as a ROH television champion. I mean, I can understand why they did it at first because the partnership was brewing with CMLL, but this makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, definitely so. And as I said, about damn time for Brian Cage, and congratulations to him. We'll see what happens next with him for certain. But another one that was returning or returned to the pre-show, or at least returned to AW after a very successful stint over in Japan, that being Anna Jay. Beating Harley Cameron by pinfall. Anna Jay is one of those ones for me that's always improved. She'll always give it 110% no matter who she's in there with. And obviously been a stalwart of AEW there from the get-go. Is it now time for us to really get behind Anna Jay and see where Tony Khan can take her in an ever-growing women's division in AEW?
I really love seeing this for Anna because I've been a supporter of Anna for the last few years now. And, I think her and Harley, by the way, I thought that match was really well put together. Like, I thought both of them were really, really good in the ring. Anna Jay getting that push. I mean, I made a post about this the other day. I think it's well deserving for her to get a push into a more prominent role. Um, like with the women's squared circle that I do for Follow the Revolution once a month, they're always talking about women tag titles. Now, I know people don't want them to oversaturate with so many titles in AEW. Them removing the FTW title, that was one of the best decisions that they could do. So if they're going to ever introduce another title, I think it should be women tag titles. So maybe Anna Jay can find a partner and then lead to that. But I'm glad that she had a match, regardless what people say. To me, if you're on the pre-show, you're on the card itself still, just not the main card. But yeah, Anna looked really, really sharp, and glad that she picked up the win.
Yeah, you mentioned that about the women's potentially tag titles. I mean, I've been saying this quite recently on Raw, on SmackDown. I know it's the WWE, but just the same kind of side note that I'm a big believer that they need secondary women's titles over there. I know you mentioned there the women's tag titles, which they do have already, but is there a shout that perhaps, and I know he does get a bit of thingy about the amount of titles there is in AEW, but justification would be when you've got a stacked roster like they do have, especially the women's roster, and they only have kind of the TBS and TNT titles. Is there a push there that perhaps secondary women's titles are needed?
At this point, you have to. I mean, this women's roster is it's literally taken seriously for the first time, and I mean, like when you're seeing, for example, ROH have the women's television championship, I think that kind of helped Billy Starks, get elevated in Ring of Honor some more. Um, so if you're going to have a championship like this to feature more of the women, which is what a lot of AEW fans want and what they crave, do it. So, but I'm not the boss, but I'm not the one that thinks of this stuff. But um, again, with some of the stuff that I saw with Jimmy Jacobs, it just kind of turned me away. Which, again, I don't mean to make this about him. It's just now that they're actually getting behind more of the women. And again, like kudos to Jennifer Pepperman. When you signed her for the creative direction for the women, I think this is perfect.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, secondary titles, please, TK, as soon as possible, if you don't mind. Thanks. Definitely. We'll just breeze through. Good to see the Outrunners again with Orange and Kyle O'Reilly. They picked up the victory over the Dark Order and the Premier Athletes. And then also before that, the Acclaimed and Daddy Arse defeated Eminem Collection. And they were with former. Well, they said they had the third man. There was a lot of like, who's this third man going to be? And of all people, a blast from Billy Gunn's past, Rico turns up with the sideburns still. Everything was right. The match was good. That the rap by Max Caster was as controversial as ever. I mean, there was a P Diddy the reference in there as well. That kind of shaped up what was a really good pre-show. Gets you moving into Wrestledream, which we'll get into now, the main card. Jay White Hangman kicked off the show, which was actually perfect for this pay-per-view to kick it off like that. Two men who I'm putting in my Continental Classic, and what we'll do next week, as I'm assuming it's not starting this week on AEW, but what we'll do in a couple of weeks' time, sorry, is do our very own. We'll pick our own Continental Classic, only with the men at the minute because we don't know that there's a women's one coming. But these two, very, very good kickoff match. Jay White picked up the victory, which didn't surprise me as such, but obviously, because again, the stacked roster in AEW, when you get a match like Jay White and Hangman, you do scratch your head and think, well, where are they going to go with this? It was a great reversal from the buckshot lariat into the switchblade to finish it off. But a great start, and just interesting what they do with both of these two next.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, Adam, you said it perfectly. Like with this whole C2 thing, which that was kind of teased before this first match started for the main show, because Okada got confronted by O'Reilly, so I think we're going to see Kyle in the C2, which that's perfect. The match itself and my thoughts on it. What a really hot way to start the pay-per-view. I'm just glad, very glad that Jay White won this match. He needed it. So where does this go from here? I think it's just going to still build the feud. I don't think this is a blow off. I don't think this was just a match just to have a match on the card. I want to see this more with Jay White and Adam Page. Like, my gosh, like, I was kind of surprised a little bit with the clean finish, just because, Adam Page, after all, he did win against Swerve in the main event and All Out. Here he is losing, you know, at Wrestledream against Jay White. But again, you don't want to make Jay White lose again. You need to start putting him in another promising role. And yeah, it's just the man that booked Dynamite, it's not Tony, did not see anything in Jay White. I don't know why. But I think this was a decision with Tony or maybe Will Washington or Jennifer Pepperman. I don't know, but either way, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with Jay White, and I do like cruising with kayfabe's prediction. I think potentially we could see Jay White become the new AEW World Champion at Grand Slam Australia. But that's to be determined, because when we go into our last match, theories all over the place.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories after that last match, and we'll get into that when we get it. But I agree. I'd like to see Jay White win the AEW Championship. It would certainly be fitting for him, especially as you say in Australia, with him being a New Zealander or a Kiwi, as they're called in. But Jay White coming back was great. It's been great for AEW to have him back. Let's use him right. This could be a good feud for him to start with, which I fully will get behind, assuming that is the case. But we'll find out. Women's Championship actually was on the line. Mariah, mate. Willow Nightingale. I think you picked Willow last week. I'm pretty sure that you did when we done our little thing. And I think I went the other way just to be, I don't know, controversial, I suppose. But it was Willow Nightingale. But obviously Britt Baker wasn't there. They did do the four-way just because Britt was ill. Mariah May winning the match. Again, I wasn't too surprised by Mariah May winning the match. She's too early into her run. What I do like in general about AEW is the title runs are normally quite long. You don't normally get a week to week. I mean, there was one maybe about a year and a half ago where it was, and then Orange Cassidy won it for a while. Not the women's championship, he didn't win, but he won a championship. And then he done like a 30 odd defenses, and that kind of kick-started it. And I do like the fact that championships don't change hands very often. So Mariah May picking up the victory. I guess the point of it now is to quote a certain Goldberg, who's next for Mariah May in your opinion?
Gilbert, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's next for Mariah May. It's going to be interesting to see who that's going to be. Maybe Britt Baker, because of the unfortunate illness that she sustained, so maybe that will progress the feud. I just think they're going to hold off until Toni Storm really comes back, and especially into the fold of things. This match, by the way, just the back-to-back matches with Jay White and Adam Page in this one was just perfect. It really got me invested with the pay-per-view early on. It's just Willow Nightingale is just damn good. She's definitely going to be in my year-end awards for Woman Wrestler of the Year. But it's all about Mariah, and I'm so glad that they're continuing this with her. Yeah, I just think it's going to be Britt Baker. If it's not going to be Britt, hypothetically speaking, if they do perhaps do the C2, the winner should face Mariah May at World's
End. I agree with that. Britt Baker would seem the logical choice.
Yeah.
For sure, if they did. We'll see what happens. Nothing. Well, there has been some kind of thing announced for Dynamite. Nothing to do with the women, but we'll get to that in a minute when we talk all things Swerve Strickland. Something's happened backstage, not with Swerve, but there was a skit that happened backstage that we'll get into in a minute. But TNT Championship, Jack Perry was defending again against Shibata. Again, I'm not massively surprised that Jack Perry picked up the victory here in this one. I'm enjoying the run. I we both sat there and said that Jack Perry would end up winning this match, and he certainly did. I did enjoy. I do enjoy his run as a scapegoat. I really enjoyed his run so far, and I look forward to seeing more of the scapegoat character, and maybe an outside squeak there that he may be in the C2 this year.
I mean, it's a possibility. It certainly is. I, I mean, I want him to be featured in some more, believable matches. And I'm not saying the match with Shibata was horrible by any means, but post match though, I'm gonna say what AEW did. This is why when people say AEW don't really have a story, AEW started 2 stories within 5 minutes. We saw the MJF return. My gosh, like he got a good pop. And again, this is one thing I love about AEW is I never heard anything about MJF being at that arena last night. Not a thing. And then obviously, he beats the crap out of Danny, and then looks like, well, first of all, Danny confronted, Jack Perry, so it looks like he's going to go for Perry's title, rightfully so, because of the reports that came out with Fightful saying that they're going to start building some great storyline development with Garcia. And I think this is a good start. That being said, how in the world, like, I did not see that coming with Adam Cole making his return. I've seen some people online, oh, well, this is all thrown away with the devil and Adam Cole. And why is this happening? I'm like, because it furthers the story. I mean, I know things are reversed, but people wanted MJF to be healed. So what? You want him back being? Maybe we'll get a reunition. A reunite of the Brochachos. I mean, I miss the Brochachos personally, but that's not going to happen because MJF just turned heel. But it was really cool. It really made me think of All Out 2020 with Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole making their AEW debuts. I'd rather take this over a debut, to be honest. So it's just the flow was perfect. But with Perry and Shibata, it was your average standard match. It did feel predictable, but yeah, Shibata's gold regardless. I don't think he's not gonna get hurt or anything like that after this match. So
no, definitely not. And you hit it on the nail on the head. They started technically they started a secondary storyline with Garcia coming out and confronting Jack Perry. Then they added MJF because he's still got some unfinished business with Garcia for certain. And then to top it all off, the boom was dropped again, and Adam Cole returns. And as you say, role reversal from last year, from the Devil storyline. Adam Cole had turned heel, MJF was face at that point. Although the Kingdom had been kind of shaking hands with a lot of their opponents after the matches recently, so it kind of ties into that nicely together to bring Adam Cole back. Big surprise for both. I know that MJF has been filming. I actually wanted to get your opinion on this because if I remember rightly, one of the things that Jade Cargill said about joining WWE was they're gonna, wanted to get into movies and all of that sort of stuff. But here you've got MJF in Happy Gilmore 2. He's also signed up for another movie as well. I don't know when that starts filming, but he's also signed up for another movie. It's kind of becoming apparent now that you don't necessarily have to jump ship if you want to get into movies. You just got to kind of fit what they're looking for. And MJF, obviously, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing him in Happy Gilmore too, because I know that he can play. If he's going to play he can play those two characters. He can play the arsehole heel because he does that so well, but he also plays that cheesy, comical character that I would imagine he will play in Happy Gilmore 2. I don't know. But the point being is, right now, it doesn't matter where you are. If you want to make it in movies, you can easily do it at AEW just as much as you can do it elsewhere.
yeah, that's one thing I really like about Tony is, he really lets you out there and he understands that you have commitments or you have things that you want to chase your dream with. When you listen to the most recent interview that Swerve had. You know, Swerve was, what did he say? I don't remember word from word, but I remember Swerve saying that, okay, Tony, what should I do? You know, and then Tony's like, do whatever you want. So, and I think that's one thing why former WWE talent, or doesn't have to necessarily be a former WWE talent, but I'm only bringing this in to comparison is because when you see a lot of them sign with AEW is because they realize, okay, I got this freedom. And I think this is really, really cool because I'm a big Adam Sandler fan. I loved Happy Gilmore. First one, I'm only going to get Netflix just for 1 week and then cancel the subscription just because I want to see Happy Gilmore too. Adam Sandler,
I thought you was going to get it for what? Because you want to watch Raw.
Probably for the first 10 minutes, see what they present on January 6th, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, it's just one thing that I wish Adam Sandler would work on. Come on, man, put it back. Put your movies back in theaters, please. I get it. Maybe you have an agreement with Netflix. But no, it's really cool to see MJF and especially Adam Cole make their returns, and more so with Adam because everything that he's been through for over a year, and I could really see something too. I really hope this is where they start bringing Wardlow back into the mix too. You know, because obviously there's history with MJF and Wardlow. So who knows?
We'll see. We will see. And we'll see. But yes, great to see Adam Cole and MJF back, even if MJF one may be a bit, he may go away again. We don't know about the filming schedule or anything like that. So we'll see. We'll see. But great to see them both back. Yes, Adam Cole, even better to see him back as well. You mentioned Swerve just then in your answer. So it's a good thing to just get a Swerve out of the way. So medically clear to come back, which was great. Confronted obviously by MVP Shelton Benjamin. But sticking with his family, I think even though he said Prince Nana was selling weed to school kids and all of this sort of stuff in the promo that he was cutting, but staying with Nana for now, my mind wonders how long. I do see either maybe a little feud to begin with, maybe with MVP and the Hurt Syndicate, but I do eventually maybe see Swerve go over there. I've we're going to get into something in a minute that happened where where things turn on each other and stuff like that. But great that Swerve's back. Also great that he's kind of sticking with Nana for now. At the backstage, eventually they had a chat with Leo Rush, and Leo Rush was saying that he's now full-time All Elite again. And he was confronted by the Hurt Syndicate, and that's seemingly setting up potentially, although it's not announced yet, Shelton Benjamin and Leo Rush for this week on Dynamite, which will be a great way to introduce Shelton Benjamin to Dynamite if that's the case. But going back to Swerve, do you see Swerve eventually joining it, or is it going to be like or is it will be like a Lashley will come in and maybe Swerve will set up his own group and they will go against each other?
I don't think Swerve's going to join the group at all. I think they have somebody else in mind, and that's Hobbs.
Okay.
I think that's who they should do. I think I'm in the majority with everybody. I want to see a breakup with Nana and Swerve. But then again, you know, Swerve is known to be sneaky, and I'm curious to see where this is going to go too. I was actually really expecting the debut of Bobby Lashley last night. Fightful did report it, but never really gave the reason why he didn't make his debut last night, which is fine. I don't want to see. I'm like, I think it would be sad, and I think that's where, you know, people get invested because they like the soap opera of things. But I don't think I would like to see that. It's they did the right thing too. You know, there was not a brawl. There was, I mean, it looked like at first, yes, but it didn't lead to crazy batshit shenanigans. It was just your standard promo, get out of the way, slow burn the feud. So I loved it.
Yeah, definitely. So I can't wait to see Lashley come in. Hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later, but we'll wait and see on that. Let's move to the International Championship match. This was Takeshita, Will Ospreay, and Ricochet. They brought out, I mean, it was an amazing match. I will hold my hand up. There was a little bit I didn't like about it. And the reason why I didn't like it is because I'm a bit old school. I don't like moves being, I would say, undersold. And I just felt there was a sequence in there, especially the poison rama, because the poison rama is a move that is hitting AEW quite a lot, and every time it's hit, you're like, oh Jesus, you could feel the punishment there. I didn't like the fact that that was undersold a little bit, just because I do think it takes it away. I'm an old school fan. I don't like finishes being kicked out of one. I've seen that not just in AEW. I've seen it all over. Hate it. I hate it on Independence when they do it as well. It annoys me. So other than that, they had an incredible match. There was some great wrestling in there as well. They had the table spot with Takeshita drilling Ricochet through it. And then they had the bit with Don Callis. Now, we said last week that they were building to something here with Callis, Carl Fletcher, and Ospreay. And there was Callis was going to use the screwdriver on Ospreay. There's a guy in a suit, not suit, a hoodie, slides in the ring, nails Ospreay with the screwdriver, and that turned out to be the former United Empire tag team partner, Carl Fletcher. Ultimately, which cost Ospreay the match, Takeshita picks up the victory, which is exactly what we said last week, that it was Takeshita's time, and we felt as if the time was right to do so, and it was. We did say also that we felt Carl Fletcher was going to cost Ospreay, which he absolutely did, and that sets up that feud. And then when Mark Davis comes back, it will be interesting to see what way or where he aligns to. But some great sort of finishing up of a feud, and I'm not saying a finishing up of a feud, but a finishing up of a feud for now with the Ospreay Ricochet Takeshita. They start a program now with Ospreay and Fletcher, which will be great. I know they had their match when Ospreay first signed properly. But Ricochet's an interesting one. Because Ricochet's kind of come in and not necessarily won a lot of matches. And you know that people are going to get on his back already, because that was a lot of people's like, we didn't win anything in WWE and now you've come here and you lose it. So you know they're going to get some hate from it. But when does Ricochet start maybe picking up wins, or is he another candidate for the C2 where we'll actually get to see him showcase what he can do best?
I mean, the C2 could certainly be a possibility for Ricochet. I think they might pair him with Will to even the odds a little bit, with the storyline with the Don Callis family and Fletcher and, of course, Keshka. So I think he's going to stay in that position for a little while. But I do like the thought of the C2, no doubt. Because I really want Ricochet to stay in a prominent position with AEW for right now. Because, I mean, when you're side by side with Will, and Will pushed Ricochet to be in AEW very heavily. So I think he will be fine, I hope. And in your defense, when it comes to the non-selling, Adam, I mean, some people don't like it either, and that's okay. We all have our critiques, right?
Yeah.
So, me personally, it's kind of like, it kind of reminds me of when AEW first started. Like, they kept on doing the Canadian Destroyer time and time again. Nobody was selling it. So that's a good example right there, I suppose. The match, oh my gosh, like one of the best matches of the night, yet again, from Will Ospreay in it. So no surprise there, everybody that follows him in the Turnbuckle podcast, which please follow. And don't forget to click that notification bell to watch us every Sunday. And Adam's amazing content that he does throughout the week. So, but yeah, it's just, Takeshita was the right winner. I've been wanting this for the longest time. Have him be in a great reign. I think that's what they're going to do. I mean, I know there's one person that's happy is Sky Blue. She was probably smirking and just looking in the shadows, being happy for her man. But no, I mean, I kind of figured this would happen, which is fine. I'm just curious to see where it's going to go. And At first I was thinking maybe they won't pull the trigger with no, Fletcher until Mark Davis would get into the mix because again, Grand Slam Australia is really not that far off.
No.
And I was thinking maybe trios champions, but I agree with you to the fullest, man. This storyline with Fletcher and Ospreay, the history they have, it's about to get personal, and I'm very, very stoked for it.
I would like to see that bit of a Willow, kind of what you haven't seen with Ospreay yet, because obviously, not because he's been a heel, because when we last, he's one of his last feuds over here was against Michael Oku, who AEW obviously knows well to AEW. But you do the promos get more intense, and he cut one on Oku before they had their blood where Oku beat Ospreay. And that's the kind of I want to see that killer side of Will Ospreay, that what we saw at the back end of his independent reign. Hopefully, that's what we'll see coming up soon. As you say, it's going to get personal, so hopefully we'll see that. But we'll find out. But for now, Konosuke Takeshita is now the new champion, and that will be interesting to see where we go from there. But where we go from here is a 2 out of 3 falls match. Hologram, the Beast, Mortos. Now, coincidentally, obviously AEW signing the deal with Mexico on Fox to do some of
Mhm.
this stuff. I feel as if this match was a showcase for them. I really, really do. Hologram made his Dynamite debut this past week. He obviously had been on Collision for a while, and I loved it. And again, I was never like a huge Lucha Libre fan, but I love it. AEW gets it right, I think, with these Lucha Libre. They get it. I don't even know if it was because it was positioned right on the card, but every time I see it on a Dynamite and Collision, it's just in the right placement for me in terms of, I wouldn't like it kicking off the show every week. But I do like it sort of in between, sort of you want your first match, you want the crowd to be up, and you don't mind taking them down to build them back up again. And I feel this one was placed kind of right in the middle of the card, just as it was going down to start that trajectory back up for what we knew was going to be an emotional main event. But these two tore the house down at a 2-1 victory for Hologram, but placed well, Lucha Libre at its finest, and I think AEW may have put on a great showcase for the Mexican fans that are going to be able to watch AEW on Fox coming up very soon.
Again, very intelligent booking from Tony. I think that's what the purpose of this match was, and I didn't think of nothing with the Fox Sports Mexico TV deal. So kudos to you, sir. Very well done. The match really served its purpose. Like when you really want to, like you said, see that lucha libre style. AEW really does that so damn well, no doubt. What does this go? Where does this go from here with Beast Mortos and Hologram? I think it continues. I see that really coming to full circle as the weeks develop. Still, I think next is going to be Roosh to maybe get collided with him. Um, all I know is I'm very excited for LFI. I'm very stoked for, of course, Hologram. Now, you want to talk about Goldberg winning streaks? Here we go. Not going to be world champion, but he is going to be like. I know some people are wondering, okay, well, when is he going to get a title shot? I don't think at this point. I don't think Hologram cares. I can't speak for him, obviously, because I'm not him. I'm not the one that's booking the shows and stuff like that. But I think just Hologram getting featured every single week in a great position, I'm all for it. And if I can be honest, I remember when he officially got signed, I was thinking to myself, okay, I guess sure, let's see how it goes. I really want to get a shirt now. That says something.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with him and Beast Mortos. I'm not going to take this away from him either. He is just becoming one of my favorites. The day he becomes a champion, per request from Gary Joe, Adam Cousins has to wear the Mortos mask and he has to do a RAR live on the Elite
They need to
collaboration.
They
I've
need to
seen.
sell them. They need to sell those masks. I can't. I'm not going to get it off eBay. There's no way am I even attempting that.
Look on Amazon, bro.
I'd love to wear a Mortos mask. I think it'd be a better look anyway. But we'll move on from that incredible 2 out of 3 falls match. Darby Allin, we knew we knew it was going to be Brody King. He answered the challenge last week on Collision. This was crazy. I mean, again, I think Darby Allin just tries to find ways to kill himself, and that's not being committed suicide. That's not a in any direct or true way. But he just tries to find new ways to like give himself permanent damage. I mean, this week, I mean, he ended up actually not damaging, but he ended up doing it to Brody Lee when he pushed him off the top onto the stairs and hit that coffin drop during the match. But I mean, these two was great. The match, I think, again served its purpose very well. Gonna come back to Darby in a bit when we obviously get into the shenanigans at the end of the main event. But nevertheless, it was important for Darby to pick up that victory. I think just because I've got a feeling there's more to come, and we'll get to that later.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, very much agree with this.
Yeah.
Darby is just one of those guys, man. Like, there is a few people in AEW that I consider the MVP or the workhorse, and Darby is really one of them. You know, I like whenever somebody wants to conversate with me about a wrestler that I appreciate in AEW, Darby Allin's really on that list, man. Like, I can see why people love him. I can see why people appreciate him. I am certainly one of those people, no doubt. Um, Brody King, no, my gosh, like that guy is amazing too. He's just. This is one thing I love about AEW when you see them relive history moments. It's really really cool to grasp as a fan when you're watching. Um, I did not expect a handshake at the end with Brody King at all with Darby, but man, this was a fun match for what it was. And Darby, I don't think he's gonna slow down. I think it's just gonna be doing his evil Knievel stuff.
I don't think Darby's got a slow down button on him. Anyway, I think he's always he's always trying to find, climbing Mount Everest, which I know he didn't end up doing because of injury. Then, having that serious injury, getting hit by a bus, and stuff like it's just when you say something like, when you think of a story like that, the person that comes to mind straight away is just Darby Allin anyway, because that's just what you would imagine him to do. He's just crazy. But yeah, more on Darby later. Anyway, well, not later, quite soon actually. But we'll get to the tag team titles now. Young Bucks, Private Party. Again, really, really good tag match. We were right though. We didn't think that Private Party would win the match, even though they picked up the victory a week or so ago. But for me, and I think for you, we're both going to agree the next team to take on the Young Bucks should beat them, and that should be Turbo and Floyd, the Outrunners.
Please. Yeah, I mean, with the video presentation, by the way, it was cool to see Amazing Red on there. That was a really cool touch. When I saw that, if I can be honest, I really thought Private Party was in fact going.
Yeah,
I really, really did. There was times where I really thought they were going to win as well. Something about Isaiah Cassidy, it's just he's so gifted. Same thing goes for Quinn. I just think the story needs to make sense for the team to take it off the Young Bucks. And I'm not saying the story wasn't there with Private Party. The crowd was really behind Private Party. Rightfully so. Young Bucks are these cocky heels that they just want to continue to make people upset over. It's working, apparently. I would love to see the Outrunners take the titles from the Bucks because they are the most over. If they don't, there's somebody that keeps teasing very soon that they're going to be there. And that's going to be Ibushi and Kenny Omega. We're going to see the Golden Lovers.
Yeah.
I think that's where they might go before the others. Something tells me that will be the match. Where should that happen? I think that should happen at Wrestle Dynasty. at the Tokyo Dome, unless Kenny has something with Tanahashi that we don't know about, because of that teaser that New Japan posted a couple weeks ago. Beautiful video trailer if anybody has not seen it. Well put together. But yeah, I am so with you, Sir Adam Cousins. Put those titles on Outrunners. I mean, I they're your number, like they're in your top merch sellers for the last couple months for a reason. You know, a friend of mine actually, well, not a friend, but a follower of mine actually was at the show last night, and he sent me pictures of the merch stand, and I guess it was one of the best I've seen at an AEW show in a while. And apparently, they did have some Outrunners merch more than a private party. So I think they're really putting their trust into the Outrunners more than private party at this point. But private parties time will come. We just got to be patient as a fan of them. So, and by the way, Matthew Jackson, whatever. What's up with all the pearls, man?
I can't even. I don't think I'm the right person to criticize somebody's hair, to be quite honest. But I agree. Turbo and Floyd though are fantastic in a minute. Long in their rookie year, of course. Don't forget they are very very much rookies at 40 odd years old. Yeah, if you believe that, you believe anything. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Matt and Nick Jackson retain on this occasion, and we'll see what's next. I do like the thing about the Golden Lovers coming in though. That could work very, very well, and you probably hit the nail on the head in terms of the event as well. We did have the Ring of Honor World Championship, which I thought was quite interestingly placed. This was semi-main. I agreed with it. I thought it was placed perfectly, really. But it was just, I was quite, when I was reeling off the matches, it was getting to the end. I was like, wow, this match hasn't even happened yet. And then actually it makes perfect sense. Briscoe, Jericho for the Ring of Honor Championship. Praise the Lord that Mark Briscoe won this match. And actually, it was actually a pretty decent match, to be fair. I'm being very critical of Jericho. I've liked the learning tree stuff. Like I said, the learning tree stuff's been great. He was obviously with Big Bill, a good friend, Big Bill, in here. But yeah, it was great to see not that I don't want to see. I want Briscoe when he lose it to the right person because the Ring of Honor and Ring of Honor means so much to Mark Briscoe. Obviously, with his late brother Jay as a tag team, and you know when he loses it, it needs to make sense and it needs to be to the right man. And Chris Jericho just wasn't the right man to take something away from Mark that means so much to him on a personal level, more as just as much as it does on the wrestling level.
Couldn't agree more. Um, who that's going to be, of course, to be determined. They do got Final Battle coming up here in the next 2 months. So, hmm, the match itself, it did serve its purpose. I'm with you, man. I'm just glad that Jericho. Oh man. I mean, again, like I want to get behind Jericho so badly because I'm a Jericho holic, but man, I just he needs to be like he really needs to go away for a while. You know, have Big Bill a chance to shine. Maybe in the C2, something with him. But yeah, I just it sucks because I want to say something positive about Jericho. I mean, the positive that I will say about Jericho, he's so good about putting over people. And yeah, I know Mark's been in the business for years. It's not really putting over Mark Briscoe, but he put him over in the sense as that match really was enjoyable for the most part.
Yeah. Exactly that. Exactly. And again, I think it served its purpose where it was because of what was about to happen, which we're going to get to right now, which was the World Heavyweight Championship. For the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, Danielson, Moxley. If Danielson loses, the full-time wrestling career is over. And that's exactly what happened. Danielson did lose the full-time run. And a lot of people are like, I think I've taken it out of context a little bit. He did say that he wasn't going to be retiring as such, but his full-time wrestling career is gonna come to an end as of now. And Danielson's not the type of person to uh, go back on the word. I don't think we'll see him full time again. The match itself was a lot like the All In match. It had its moments where, his match with Swerve, you went through those motions, and you did again with this one. He ended up passing out, I think, if I remember rightly, to the finish. The referee called it off. And it was more about what happened after that match. Now, after the match, we obviously got the start of the celebrations with the BCC. Darby and Wheeler Yuta come out, and they were getting attacked. Well, sorry, Darby coming to try and clear house in a bit. Wheeler Yuta then attacked Darby Allin. And then that led to another suffocation thing. This time with Utah, they've done the whole chair thing on his neck as well. We know he needs neck surgery, so that's again, that's kind of something that makes sense. Wheeler Utah then suffocating him. I will say this though with Utah, I still think he's conflicted as such because if you was looking when they was putting him in on the chair, he was looking away. And when they then showed some fan footage of him and Claudio walking back through the crowd as they were, and Claudio was putting his arm around him, and you were kept shrugging him off. You were shrugging him off. So I'm not necessarily certain about if that's going to last. But they certainly pulled the trigger on the end of Danielson, and Fightful have come out and reported that actually Danielson was always pitched to have Moxley the one to end that full time thing, but they ended it in a way that makes me think we're gonna get something again down the line, and Danielson will get a measure of revenge. Maybe not necessarily the title, but maybe, and this is where Darby Allin comes in. We get the World Championship reign of Darby Allin started with Bryan Danielson assisting him to beat John Moxley whenever that match happens.
I just want to say the people that are always bragging about another company having cinema, this is no different.
Mhm.
You did exactly what you wanted to do. Like people, I mean, I've seen people saying, "Well, Bryce Remsburg, he botched the finish." No, he did not. He did not botch the finish. This is really, really well done too. It was a perfect way of writing Bryan off to attend to the surgeries that he needs. I said something that maybe sounded a little hypocritical on my part with a post that I made last night, but a lot of people agreed with me, thankfully. Um, you know, that meaning that it's just, are we really that selfish as wrestling fans and just being upset with how everything occurred last night when I'd rather Bryan focus on his health, be with his family for a while? And like I call this in my post today, this is going to be a civil war. This is going to be cinema, people. AEW does have cinema, damn it. I have never heard an AEW crowd that quiet. Like, this is when I can really balance out the fan bases for what you like, what you have a preference with, that you devote your time with, like I do with AEW, like my brother James does with WWE. You can really balance out the crowds. And when you hear, like, literally a pin drop, AEW did it perfectly here. Fightful has been reporting a lot of things the last 24 hours. One of them being Bryan he has no intention going back to WWE. He just wants to get the surgery done. I don't know how long this feud's going to last out, but all I know is this is war, everyone, and I think this is very captivating for me. The storyline has the potential of being the best written. So AEW, they did something really good here. Very smart, in my opinion. I think the people that are upset about the finish are just, again, some people that are just not happy the fact that Bryan lost in his hometown, and maybe these are the same people that are, again, being a little selfish and not thinking about Bryan's health. And it just, you said it perfectly, Adam. Like, he's just retired full time, and the other report, the other piece of the report that Fightful shared is Bryan, well, not Bryan, but AEW wants him just to do matches every now and then, and I think that's fine. So when he does come back to continue the story, that's going to be built for a while. Perfect. Darby Allin, I think we might see, it really reminds me of Sting-esque a little bit with Darby. He's facing all these people that are abusing him mentally, and he's conflicted, just like Wheeler Yuta. You are right with that, Adam. Because when, the guy, I don't know if he did acting school when he was gone with a concussion, because dang, he's doing really well with his part too. Now, everyone prior to the pay-per-view that I interact with, that has messaged me on Follow the Revolution, that they were thinking, well, there's going to be a debut with Shane McMahon or whatever it may, or whoever it may be. The fact that that did not happen at the pay-per-view, they're really slowly building the reveal of who's behind this. Again, it's perfect because you're really being patient with this storyline, and this is going to take it to a whole new level, I think. And just AEW, they did the right thing with this decision with Jon Moxley being the world champion. Fun fact, Bryan Danielson's last match in WWE was Seth Rollins. His last full-time match was against Jon Moxley. People believe in the Shield, so
exactly.
It's
yeah, exactly that. And I think Shane McMahon, if Shane comes in, I think maybe World's End, and that's how they end it with Shane there at the end of World's End. Much as they did last year with the Devil storyline. I think they're building up to it, it would make it more if they're going down the route of potentially like a Moxley group against like an AEW group a bit, if they're going down that route, the best way to have it would be to have Shane on screen as World End comes off the air, and then it sets you up very nicely for 2025 into AEW with that storyline with Shane the forefront with Moxley, and perhaps we see TK more on telly, I don't know, or perhaps Shane McMahon will be the sort of the more of the on TV person. But and then you could do a little bit. You mentioned Sting and Darby. You could do a potentially a little bit where Darby is like Sting when it was, is he going to join the NWO or is he going to join WCW? You could be conflicted and you could see some, some bits and pieces like that. But I think best way for AEW to go off the air in 2024 at World's End is Shane McMahon standing in an AEW ring.
And I know there's some people that are over the fence with that. I know there's some people on board with that. I like how you saying World's End, honestly, Adam, because the new start, what I'm going to officially call their new era, begins in 2025 with Max. So Max is going to really demand things a little bit more. Well, not Max, but Warner Brothers Discovery is going to demand a little bit more with AEW's approach, I think, even though Tony, I guess, has the final say with everything. But that could change. So if you want to get people really invested with your, watching your weekly shows on Max and cable television, now is the time to really do something to shake it up a little bit. They did last night, but continue that shake up going into 2025 on the Max. So I really like how you're putting that for World's End.
But we will see that for sure. But this has been Wrestle Dream, the Wrestle Dream of Bryan Danielson come to an end, at least full time. Anyway, Gary, my thanks to you as always for being my analyst my American analyst. There you go. That's a new one. So you're now the America. Dave's going to be the Nigel McGuinness. I think that's how I'm going to. So you can be Taz or Excalibur. When Dave come in, he was going to come in today, but his some family stuff going, so he's not going to made it today. But he can be the Nigel McGuinness. You can be I don't know, Excalibur or Taz, whoever you fancy being. But anyway, But anyway, we'll wrap it up there. Been a great week for AEW as always, and big thanks to everybody that has watched the interview with Vince Russo that I done. Very, very interesting indeed. Some more clippets are going to be going up soon on that. I've not finished that yet. But this week, just so everybody knows, I'll be recording with Demolition this week, and I'm really looking forward to that. So former WWF Tag Team Champions. There's a lot to go from there with Demolition, so I'm looking forward to that. But Gary Joe, what's happening on the FTR channel? What's being recorded this week? What can your followers look forward to happening real soon on your channel?
Yeah, so it's looking like this coming Saturday, everybody can head over to Facebook and YouTube. That there will be a special live for the brand new episode of the Women's Square Circle, which of course is with Vixen Omega, Marissa, Rhonda, War Mama Elise. Those girls make me so damn proud. Can't wait for that. And then this time next Sunday, not only will I be part of this elite collaboration with FTR and ending the Turnbuckle podcast, which, mind you, it will be the 1 month anniversary already for the elite collaboration. Time flies, bro. I will also be doing this special live All Elite Q&A, this time with Brody. I'm very excited for that. The great relationship that Brody and I have, I can't say it enough. Adam, I don't know if you've seen it, but she's the one that makes these funny videos.
Yeah.
It's really helping my engagement. And it's funny because when I get the engagement, I just want people just to click the follow button or react to it. I'm just here to give people the fun, humor of the things that Bree brings to the table. She loves doing it. But this is the first time ever that a female will be joining me for an All Elite Q&A, and she has no filter. So hopefully she won't fluff any feathers. But hey, just like you and I and everybody else when it comes to wrestling, we're just very honest. So, but yeah, definitely give FTR Follow the Revolution a follow if you decide to. If not, please join us here again next Sunday.
Exactly that. We'll leave it at that. But for Gary Joe, my American analyst, I've been your host, Adam Cousins. You've been watching the FTR Hitting the Turnbuckle All Elite collaboration on the Hitting the Turnbuckle channel. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.